What is up, everybody? My name is Rhino, and welcome to the first edition of our football predictions for the 2014-2015 season. We're doing a division by division post draft analysis of the teams, and today we're going to start with the AFC North. The AFC North has the Browns, Ravens, Steelers, and Bengals, and it's a division predominantly decided by how well the team's defense does and how stout they can be against all the other teams and especially against themselves, how they can stop each other. But let's start with the Browns. I think out of the four teams in this division, the Browns definitely had the best draft. They got Johnny Manziel, quarterback Justin Gilbert, and they bolstered their offensive line with Joel Bitonio and stuff like that. Manziel definitely is probably not going to be a starter. He's going to come in and act like a backup for now and still learn the ropes of the NFL. He's gonna watch a lot and see. He may have to go in at some point, depending on injuries to whatever quarterback they decide they're gonna start with. Justin Gilbert could probably jump in as a starter, right alongside Joe Hayden, who they just re-signed to a 5-year deal, something worth like $55 million with $48 million guaranteed. So he's sticking around. You can put Justin Gilbert right on the other side of him and have a pretty lockdown defensive backfield right there with that. And then Joel Bitonio can definitely help out the offensive line, protect the quarterback more so they don't have to constantly switch between 3-4 quarterbacks throughout the course of the season. They can actually get down and dirty and actually have their guy work with the players the whole season instead of switching every couple of games. One thing that I have with the Browns, though, is Josh Gordon, if you don't know, recently failed a second drug test and is facing a full season ban for this season if they decide to punish him that way. If that happens, the Browns pretty much lose their top offensive weapon and one of their only offensive weapons, one of their few weapons that they have for the entire year. And if that happens, even with Manziel, there's not a lot you can do, especially in this division against the Ravens, Steelers, and Bengals. He was your playmaker. He was your scorer. He did everything you needed him to do. If you lose him for the whole season, that's a tough shot right there. And my opinion, second failed drug test. First time that you know the rules. Okay, no PEDs, no marijuana. Oh, it's legal in Colorado and Washington. It doesn't matter. You're not in Colorado. You're not in Washington, and it doesn't matter. You're playing in the NFL. You're getting paid millions and millions of dollars, and you can't just stay away from weed for, let's just say his salary was, for this year, say he was going to make $8 million this year. I'm not exactly sure what his figures are this year, but say he was going to make $8 million. He just threw away $8 million because he couldn't stop smoking pot. $8 million. So I think a full season ban could be good for him. He had the first attempt. He got suspended for 4 games. I think it was last year. So he had his first shot. They gave him a second chance. Still couldn't do it. Failed it again. I think a full season ban is good. Next time, if he still gets caught, I don't know. But when we have a decision on that, we'll have a separate video about what we think about that. But, I mean, the only other offensive weapons you really have Jordan Cameron, pretty good tight end, and that's pretty much all I can think of. I mean, you drafted Manziel to help out on offense, but he's not going to start. And then you went heavy defense with Justin Gilbert, and Bitonio's going to help on the offensive line, but he's not going to help you score touchdowns. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out, but next, we're going to move on to the Ravens. They drafted first 3 rounds C.J. Mosley, a linebacker, Timmy Jernigan is a defensive tackle, and Terrence Brooks, a free safety. They definitely went all defense here, which they could use, especially trying to fill holes left by Ray Lewis when he left 2 years ago and things like that. They added Crockett Gilmore, a tight end, for offense to help out Gary Kubiak, the new offensive coordinator's offense, which they definitely needed a tight end. If you remember last year, Dennis Pitta was hurt for a lot of the season. They didn't have a whole bunch of offensive weapons. They had a couple of them. Ray Rice definitely didn't help out too much. Probably had one of his worst seasons in the NFL last year. Wasn't definitely his usual self, hard running, downhill, hard nose stuff, but They should bounce back this year. I believe Joe Flacco can bring him back. Ray Rice will definitely pick it up, especially in light of his whole scandal thing now with him, his domestic abuse thing. But I think their defense is going to be pretty solid this year. They added Terrence Brooks to help out over the middle. He's a good ball hawking safety from what I saw in college with him, so they should be pretty good there. I think they're going to be all right this year. They should do better than they did last year. It shouldn't be the AFC North shouldn't be a closer race as it was last year, but we'll get into that towards the end of the video. Next we're going to go to the Steelers. They drafted Ryan Shazier, a linebacker, Stephen Tuitt as a defensive end, Dree Archer, running back, and Martavius Bryant as a wide receiver. So, over the past couple of years, you've noticed the Steelers' defense getting older and older, and people just keep getting hurt, and it's been an injury-plagued defense for the Steelers. So it's good they added Ryan Shazier and Stephen Tuitt, two young guys, play linebacker, defensive end, good hard-nosed guys, good rushers in Stephen Tuitt. Shazier's a good run-stuffing linebacker. Good to add some younger players to that defense because you have guys like Polamalu who's getting older, and you lost guys like Lamar Woodley to, I think he went to Oakland and things like that. So you lost a couple of your guys. You lost Larry Foote, I believe, left too. So you needed younger guys, so that's good. Now, are they going to work right off the bat? They might start. They might play in a decent heavy role to begin with. Are they going to be as effective as you would hope right off the bat? Probably not. They're going to take a little while to adapt to the Steelers system, to learn the system, to work with the other guys, but they should be okay eventually. And it's good they added Dree Archer as a running back, which is good, because their running back core over the past couple of years, you remember the carousel. They had like Rashard Mendenhall, they had Dwyer, they had a bunch of guys in and out all the time. Guys were getting hurt, guys were switching out, and all this stuff. It was just not working out. So the Dree Archer could be a solid running back for them. And then Martavius Bryant can replace Emmanuel Sanders. You lost Sanders to the Broncos. You need a good. You still have Antonio Brown, sorry, and Heath Miller, but you definitely need another wide receiver to replace Emmanuel Sanders. So Martavius Bryant can jump into that position. It's going to take a little while to adapt, but he should work out fine by midseason, I believe. And yeah, so the Steelers should be good. Their defense still, I don't think, is going to be as solid as they would hope for this year, but it'll be okay. Now the last team in the AFC North is the Bengals. Now the Bengals had a whole slew of things they had to deal with. They drafted Darqueze Dennard as a cornerback in the first round. Then they took Jeremy Hill, running back, in the second round. Jeremy Hill's been arrested twice in the past 3 years, in the past 3 seasons or something like that. So you got to watch out for him. Hopefully he's got that all behind him, and the Bengals can actually use him as a 1-2 punch with Giovanni Bernard, because Benjarvis Green-Ellis is getting kind of old. Kind of needed another young blood back there. And they drafted Will Clark as a defensive end and A.J. McCarron, quarterback. So they definitely went defense. They drafted Dennard to help the backfield, and Clark he's a pretty good pass rusher, can get to the quarterback. They added Jeremy Hill, like I said, the running back, to help out Giovanni Bernard if he can stay out of trouble, which should be good. And then A.J. McCarron, a lot of people are saying that's an interesting pick. I don't know why they did that. They got Andy Dalton. He's doing so good. If you think about it, he does regular season, yeah, he can do great. Postseason, what's happened the past 2-3 years? He's completely flopped, and they've lost in the first round. And he just can't handle the postseason pressure. So I think bringing in McCarron gives him more incentive to perform even better during the regular season. And then postseason, he knows now they brought in another quarterback. If you mess up again if you get to the postseason, we have a guy that can replace you now. You're not the only one here. We have guys that can take you down. So he's going to have to work really hard, and he's going to have to perform in the offseason so that he can show the Bengals front office or owner, GM, coach, Marvin Lewis, that he can perform in the offseason or the postseason and get them at least deeper into the playoffs in the first round. Alright, so that was the AFC North. Now, my predictions for how this season's going to play out, looking at the schedule and stuff, I believe the Bengals are going to win the division. Their defense, I believe, is going to be the most solid of the four. They did win the division last year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure they did. I think they're going to go about 11-5, and they should win the division. I have the Ravens going 9-7 and getting the 5th seed in the AFC playoffs. I have the Steelers at 8-8 just because of their defense. I don't believe their defense is going to be as stout as everyone thinks it's going to be, or as they think it's going to be, and it's going to hurt them in a couple of games. And I have the Browns doing better than last year, but not great. I have them at 7-9. They're still rebuilding. They added a lot of good pieces, but it'll take a while for them to get into their groove. They're not going to be put together in just one season. They may have to add more people next year, and especially if they lose Gordon for the whole season, expect a way worse record than 7-9. If they lose Gordon, I'll say 5-11, maybe 4-12, maybe something around there. I just have the Bengals winning the division, like I said, but I believe they're going to lose in the playoffs again. I don't think Dalton can handle himself, and I think McCarron. I don't know if they're going to bring McCarron in next year, but 4 years in a row going out first round of the playoffs that's rough. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but we'll see how that plays out. I have the Ravens going to the divisional round, but I believe they lose to. I'm not sure who. I'm going to say the Patriots. And then I have the Steelers. They do okay, but their defense isn't put together well enough just yet, and they break even at 500. So that was my AFC North evaluation post-draft for each team. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree, disagree? What are your predictions for the Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, and Browns? And thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel for more. We're going to be doing one of these a day, so we're going to have the next 8 days are going to be all divisions and all the teams. And I'll see you all in the next episode where we will do the AFC South.